Hey, welcome to the CISSP Daily Dose. And last time we saw what are the security control frameworks which are important for CISSP, and we also did a question, right? So today we will see what are policies, procedures, and guidelines which are important for implementing a security governance within your organization. So firstly, you need to have some good policies in your organization to manage the security. So what is a policy? Okay, policy, a basic policy could be the information security policy. It gives a scope of the security that is needed by your organization. It also, tries to find out which all assets do you need to protect in your organization, because if you don't know what is there in your organization, then what are you going to protect? Okay, it can also provide you with solutions, security solutions which you require, what kind of identity and access management solutions you require, what kind of password policies you need to have. Okay, but it is generalized, it is not specific. A security policy is generalized, it doesn't lay down which technologies are you going to use. Okay, it is derived from the strategy of your organizational objectives, vision, and goals. Okay, you might also have responsibilities laid down as to who all would be responsible for managing the security in your organization. It gives out the roles, right? How do you audit? What could be your audit requirement as per your compliance requirements? How often are you going to have an internal audit? How often are you going to have an external audit? So these all are things which are laid down very beautifully in your information security policy. What are your compliance requirements? What kind of regulatory frameworks you need to follow would also be included in a security policy. What are the acceptable levels of risk? What is the risk appetite of the organization? How far you can go, okay, so that you can easily wade through your regulatory and compliance requirements. So what is the acceptable risk of your organization? That is something which is laid down very, very, I'll say in detailed manner in your policy. However, policies are generally not focused on controls. They generally tell you what you need to do. One of the most important policy in an organization is the acceptable use policy. Okay, it could be part of your overall security document, or it could be a specific document which we generally sign once we get onboarded onto a new organization, right? Acceptable use policy is basically tells us what is our behavior that is expected when we use the systems and hardware and software of an organization. It basically tells us that how we should behave ourselves as per the acceptable use. Okay, it is what your best effort which should be put when you're using organizational systems to perform your task. Failure to adhere to AUP might lead to certain penalties or job termination also at times if you are working in a very, very regulated environment. Right? Also, along with policies, what you lay down in your organization are standards, which your organizational standards. It could be external standards, internal standards. You need to have baselines. Baselines are the minimum security requirement in your organization. And you can also issue guidelines to have best practices in your organization, which would always maintain certain amount of good practices in your security governance. So what are standards? Standards are compulsory. It provides you with a course of action as to how to implement a particular control or a particular process. Standards are generally uniformly implemented across your organization. Now, imagine you have a password policy. You cannot have a different password policy for different verticals. A password policy will be same across the organization. Okay, a patch management policy will be same across the organization for basic patches. If they are Windows operating system patches which are released every week, then it's a best practice to patch your systems on a weekly basis. Generally, patch management is done in an automated manner in an organization. However, you might have certain organizations which are just starting with the information security processes and might have a manual patch management process. Now, baselines are very important as far as security is concerned. In your organizational security practices, you need to understand what is the minimum level of security that is desired out of you as far as hardwares are concerned, softwares are concerned, or even your processes are concerned. Now, baselines provide you with a minimum benchmark which your systems should be adhering to so that they remain secure at all times. Baseline are always compulsory, right? And then you can have certain guidelines which people may or may not want to follow. Guidelines are there to help you with a certain task or follow a best practice in your organization. Okay, it's important that whenever you're creating standards and baselines, they need to have a security classification and it should be easy to distribute. Okay, the standard and baselines should always be directed and efficient, and so is the guidelines. Guidelines may be there for a specific user, for a specific standard, or a specific vertical in your organization, right? Then next comes is the security procedures. Now procedures are very, very directed and specific. Now procedures are the step-by-step guidance on how to implement a solution or how to do a particular task. Okay, procedures could be system specific or product specific, but you have to remember that procedures or SOPs are always compulsory in nature. With that, we come to the question of the day, and the question is flashed in front of you. Which of the following best describes a document that provides detailed, specific instruction on how to comply with the policy? And I think we just saw that. Okay, there is nothing more important than how to comply to a policy. And what could be that? Is it a guideline? No, guidelines are generally not specific instructions. Is it a baseline? Could be. Is it a policy? Could be. And is it a standard? Could be. Okay, so guidelines is stuck out. Baseline is definitely. Policy maybe. Standard maybe. Now this is the confusing question. So let's see the answer. Now we see that a standard is always a detailed description of a policy. The policy couldn't be the answer. Baseline is, these are the minimum security requirements. So what is left is standard, right? A standard is a very, very specific, and it is generally used to implement a policy. A policy is a high level overall plan, right? A baseline is minimum level of security, and guideline is advisory in nature. So if you remember these keywords, you will never go wrong in your question. And with that, we come to the end of the CISSP Daily Dose of the Day, and hope you like this channel. If you like it, then subscribe to this channel and be on a lookout for our daily doses. We will be coming up soon with our daily dose on cloud, IT, governance, and risk management very soon. Okay. Take care, bye-bye, and have a good day.